Hey guys, it's Kate. Welcome back to my channel. So I graduated nursing school a week ago. Yay, it was super fun. It's super exciting. Now, one of the main things that I always get asked about now is, do you have a job yet? I'll call my mom on the phone. She doesn't say hi. She doesn't say, how are you doing? You have a job yet? No, I don't have a job yet. I'm still searching. I've done a couple interviews here and there. You've seen my day in the life of a nursing student interview. That particular interview, I did not get that job, but doesn't mean there's not a lot. There are so many jobs out there for nurses, and I'm not too worried I'm not going to get one. I do take my boards in about a month. So once the boards hit and I actually pass my boards, pass the NCLEX, then I'll start to get a little bit more nervous about do I have a job yet or not. So I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit of economics with nursing with you today. So during nursing school, I was the president of our Student Nursing Association, which is a part of the National Student Nursing Association, and every week they send us just little tidbits of information, and the most recent one was pay for nurses within all 50 states, 51 if you include the District of Columbia. So I kind of wanted to go through and see really, like, you have these states that say that their median pay is over $100,000, but is it really worth it to move to these states? So I went through and did a little bit of research, and I found what the cost of living was for each state, as well as their median nurse salary. So I'm gonna go through the top three and the bottom three of the nursing salary and then compare them to their cost of living. And then I'm gonna compare where I am right now, because I'm on a border state. So it's kind of nice to have the option of living in one state and then working in the other. So right off the bat, you kind of already know who's gonna be the most paid. California. California has an average nurse salary of over $100,000, making it the #1 most paid state for nurses. However, if you look at their cost of living, so how cost of living worked, how I looked it up, was everything was based off of if it's over the median, which was set at 100%. So California is 138.7%, which means it is 38.7% more to live in California than it would be as the average American. So is it really worth it? I don't think so. It actually came in number 49 on the list, and then it goes District of Columbia as the next most expensive, and then of course Hawaii is going to be the most expensive place to live. So while they are paying more in those 6 digits, it's because the cost of living is so high. Worth it? I don't think so. The next highest one, if it's not California, it's got to be Hawaii. And so Hawaii is #2 nursing salary, coming in at $98,000. Now, as I just mentioned, Hawaii is the most expensive place to live with 190.1% of cost of living. I would rather take the California pay and then live in Hawaii. Like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. And then the third highest one, which was kind of surprising to me, is Massachusetts at around $92,000 a year. Now, Massachusetts comes in as number 47 with 133.8% cost of living. Again, not the best in the world, not the worst in the world. So those were the top three: California, Hawaii, and then Massachusetts. Still on that high end of cost of living in the upper 40s and then 50, 51. So worth it? I don't think so. Where can we find the least paid nurses? So the lowest, like the low, is South Dakota. South Dakota, it comes in at around $58,000. Now, South Dakota is pretty cheap to live in as well. It comes in at 98.5% cost of living, so it's about a 1.5% less than the average American would pay. So it's kind of nice. Like, yeah, you have a lower cost of living, but you're also getting paid a lot less. I'm not quite sure how it works out there. I'm also not calculating out any taxes or anything like sales tax or property taxes from state to state, but that was just the cost of living for that one. The next one is Mississippi. Mississippi comes in also around $58,000, maybe just like $100 off from South Dakota, but it is the cheapest place to live in regards to cost of living. It comes in at #1 at 85.7%, which means it's about 15% cheaper to live in Mississippi than the average American. So would the cost break be better? I think so, especially if it's about the same pay as South Dakota, which has a higher cost of living than Mississippi. So it could be a little bit more bang for your buck that way. And then number 3 is Iowa. Iowa comes in at around $59,000 a year, and it is number 13 on my list of cost of living cheapness, with number 1 being the cheapest, number 51 being the most expensive. Iowa comes in at number 13 at 91.8%. So about 8-9% cheaper than the average American. So I don't know what that means to you. I'll put a link down in the description for all 50 states so you can see all of the nursing salaries. So you know that the highest 3 is going to be California, Hawaii, Massachusetts. The lowest paid nurses are going to be found in South Dakota, Mississippi, and Iowa. So how does that affect me as a nurse? Now, I live in Idaho, which is right along the border of Washington and Montana. And so I could choose, if I wanted to live in one of the border cities and work in either state. So I went and I looked between Idaho and Washington because that's where you're going to find the most border cities and the best hospitals. So in Idaho, the pay for nurses is about $67,000 a year, which puts it at number 30 on the most paid to least paid. Now Washington, however, comes in at number 9 with $82,000, almost $83,000. So it would be beneficial for me to work in Washington. So now let's compare the cost of living. Would it be more beneficial for me to live in Washington and work in Washington, or live in Idaho and work in Washington? Well, I found that Idaho comes in at number 20 on the cost of living, with the least expensive to the most expensive at 94.2%, so 6% cheaper than the average American. And Washington comes in at number 38 at 109.5%, so it's 10% more to live in Washington. So in conclusion, I plan on working in Washington while I still live in Idaho. I'll have a lower cost of living, but I'll be making more money, almost $20,000 more. So I will gladly commute across the border to get just a little bit of extra cash, so that way we can plan some vacations and just do all the fun things that you want to do when you actually have some spending money. Now that I'm not in school and I don't have to pay off any loans or anything, I am free to just kind of like save and actually get things that I want. So I feel like it's really important, especially if you live in a border city, knowing like, hey, if this state has a lower cost of living, but you get paid more in this one that has a higher cost of living, it's important to understand what's going to be the best idea for you. So I have already applied for my Washington license. I got my ATT, which is my authorization to test. I've signed up for the NCLEX, and so now I'm just waiting to take my NCLEX, pass it, get my Washington license, and start working. I have sent out resumes and cover letters galore, and so it's just a waiting game now. Everyone hates waiting. It's the life of a singer and a nurse, anyone. It's like an audition, and you just have to wait to see if you got the part. Hopefully I got the part. We will see. Thank you all so much for watching. It's really fun to kind of get into the economics. If you like videos like this, please leave a comment down below. Also be sure to subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week. And other than that, I will see you in the next video. Bye!